This week, we discuss Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, with guest star Tig Nataro, who's been digitally replaced by Graham.
Hi.
This is Filmosophy. Sorry, I have to read you this headline. Actor Chris Pratt confirms that he will play the role of Mario in his normal voice, stating, "Mario isn't Italian anymore, he's normal." I love Italophobia.
Get out of here with this Gen Z bullshit. Have you looked at the cast for that movie?
I have, and the only one I care about is Jack Black.
I was talking about, so I was doing this feature in Toma with Brian Cloughan and Tim Motor, and the cast list was released while we were on that set, and we were having so much fun just shit talking it. It's like we were, how they do homage to the original one. Chris Pratt's gonna show up and he's just gonna be like, it's like the climax, and before things throw down, he's like, "It's me, Mario, it's a me, Chris Pratt."
This tweet absolutely sent me. It said, Chris Pratt is not qualified to play Mario. He was not a part of the 1947 Jewish-Italian coalition. He does not come from a yelling-based culture. Because it's like Italians are allowed to play Jews, Jews are allowed to play Italians.
Yeah.
But no one else.
So can we predict what's going to happen with this movie?
Yes. It's going to follow the same plot every other weird shoehorned film like the Emoji Movie or anything like that follows, which is hero needs to find something and then finds it, and it's not what he needed all along.
Someone is going to start off as one character, but it turns out that they're going to become this character because of some want or need or what have you.
Why does Mario need an origin story?
Maybe it's not an origin story, or maybe it's just... I would be more sold if it was specifically a Mario Kart movie.
Yeah.
Like Mario Kart, you know what would make an awesome movie? Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
That would be dope as hell.
Anytime you get into a more specific region of Mario, it would be better. When you just say it's a movie about Mario, it's like, well, what?
Yeah. What are you going to do with Mario?
They're so diverse that it feels like it's going to be a Ralph Breaks the Internet thing where he's just hopping in and out of every IP, because otherwise it's, but you didn't include Mario Sunshine. You didn't include Mario 64. You didn't do that. It's like, it's not a real Mario film because it doesn't have a Koopa. Like, you have to bounce in and out of everything in order to get anything.
The trailer's going to be released with some hardcore version of
yeah, exactly.
But I will give the movie a chance if I hear a rumor that during the climax scene, the traditional 8-bit if they play that music during the climax and Jack Black is in a green screen suit and he's Bowser and he's collecting coins and Firebird and all that, then I'll give the movie a chance. But if that's not it...
Is it live action or are they just voice acting and it's animated?
It's going to be live action.
It is? Okay. Well, now I'm even more confused.
Imagine Mario video game voiced by Chris Pratt.
No, I don't want to. I don't like
And Anna Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach. Oh, my God.
I love her because she's got my name and all, but it's not.
But she's great. Oh, my God. Is Daisy in it? Have they released a Daisy voice actor?
I don't know if they have, but I'm just immediately got this strong Maya Rudolph sense
Maya Rudolph is in like every animated
She has
movie.
well,
right
she,
now.
contractually she has to be. It's like
She has to be in every animated movie?
yeah, well she clearly she must have some blackmail against
Sony
everyone in Hollywood. It's the same thing with James Corden. What did James Corden see that he can bribe his way into every film that doesn't need James Corden? He's in everything.
Yeah.
He's in like there's some
Trolls.
conspiracy. Conspiracy. Welcome to Conspiracy Pod. What we talk about.
All right.
Okay.
Well, cool.
We're keeping on our trend of Halloween themes.
Spooky, spooky.
I don't think we meant to, but
No?
we've got a zombie film this week, so somehow along the line we made our way into spooky territory.
It's spooky.
Hopefully when this gets released it's still October. If not,
Yes.
consider this the beautiful podcast hangover of October, I guess.
The film industry is spooky.
We're just spooky all the time.
We're so
scary
spooky.
shit going on in here.
We bring spook wherever we go.
Yeah.
We do. This is Army of the Dead.
Yeah,
Directed
this
by
is-
Zack Snyder.
Yep.
Film came out in 2021. Anya, what is the dealio with
So-
this? Or should I say, what's the dealia with this?
Nice.
Just
Yeah.
shoot me in the face, please. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, sure. So, Army of the Dead is a spiritual successor to Schneider's 2004 debut film, Dawn of the Dead, which is a remake of the original Dawn of the Dead. Basically, it's a long, convoluted way of saying this is a sequel of a remake of a remake of this never should have happened.
It's a 2.5-hour zombie movie.
Right, which should tell you off the bat everything you need to know.
Yes.
So let's talk about the real life background, and then we can try to get into the plot, if you can call it that, of this soap opera style film.
It's pretty. You can follow it.
So project was announced way back in 2007, originally with, and I'm gonna fuck up this name, but Matthijs van Heijenegen. I'm gonna guess a Dutch or Icelandic director. Film spent years in development. How it was picked up by Netflix in 2019 and was initially given a $70 to $90 million budget. And it's a huge gap to not know exactly, but $70 to $90 million to be produced, with Schneider serving not just as the director but also cinematographer, and principal photography took place in Albuquerque. Starting in mid-2019. All sounds well and good, right?
Yep. Traditional.
Movies
Fairy
being
tale.
made in
Yes.
in Tinseltown, Albuquerque.
Yes. Everything is sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
Until.
About a year later, June of 2020, actor who was cast in the film, Chris D'Elia, was accused of sexual harassment and grooming, and specifically solicitation of nude photos by multiple underage girls. Because if you're a guy in Hollywood, you just have to make everybody's life hell.
Yep.
By bothering some underage girls, by bothering some children for pictures of their body. It's just what happens, clearly, because very, very few prolific actors that I could think of haven't done something shitty like this.
Yep.
So, age-old question, at least, maybe not even age-old. Recent question is, you cast a rapist. Oopsie daisy, you cast a rapist. What do you do now? So, film is a year into production, a year into filming.
Filming is done.
Filming is done at this point, right?
The movie is almost fully edited.
Right. And June 2020, I don't know if you remember, there was this little coronavirus thing going on. So it's not like people are out and about filming right now when this news drops. Doesn't really matter, but D'Elia denies the allegations. I don't really give a shit what a rapist has to say. So whatever. August 2020, so about 2 months after the allegations come out, it was announced that D'Elia would be cut from the film due to the sexual misconduct allegations, and that a hero in a buzz cut would come to save us, Tig Nataro.
Tig Nataro.
And in this corner. Yeah, I love Tig. I'm not going to lie.
Liberals love Tig.
We love, don't you call me that.
Don't you call?
Don't you call me, I'm a socialist through and through.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying for me.
But it's interesting because it's not just the choice to drop D'Elia from the film. That would already be one strong choice, given we're already way past filming. it's done. It's not just the choice to drop him, it's the choice to now retroactively go back and insert a different actor in the role. I tried so many different keywords on this. If people know of an example of this, I'm sure they'll tell us, but I could not find another version of this where a film with such a high budget, filmed in such a way, was then gone back and had a main actor removed and subsequently replaced post facto. I couldn't find one.
All the Money in the World, directed by Ridley Scott. Originally, the Christopher Plummer character was played by Kevin Spacey. And when that happened,
What'd he do?
Christopher Plummer was brought in. Christopher Plummer, rest in peace, by the way.
Oh, is he dead?
He acted until his dying breath.
Dear God.
I wonder if that is something okay to say, but what a career.
Yeah.
A shameless Christopher Plummer plug. All the Money in the World, they did not digitally recast. They reshot scenes. They replicated the lighting. They just went back into production. All the scenes with Kevin Spacey, they filmed with Christopher Plummer. I have not seen the movie, but that is the closest thing I can remember to this sort of situation.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it's already kind of a different way of doing it, is to go back and remake. But so we get into August 2020. It's announced, and for 14 days in September, 2 weeks, Tig was reshot using green screens. The only cast member of the film to be in person with her, let me see here, was Riguria.
Yes, Ana de la Reguera.
Yeah. When you go back and you watch the film, so we can start from this place, I think, of talking about the plot of the film and where Tig comes into it, and maybe the necessity of even doing this is you have a refugee camp outside of a walled-off Las Vegas, which has been overrun by zombies, and you have a billionaire who wants a team of experts to go in and retrieve some money from a safe under the Strip in Las Vegas, despite there being zombies, before a nuclear bomb is detonated in Las Vegas to end what's left of the zombies. Not convoluted at all. Very straightforward.
It's a zombie movie.
And you have Tig playing a helicopter pilot. Basically, they're all going to walk into Las Vegas. They're going to do the theft, but then they're not going to be able to walk back out. They're going to go to the roof of this hotel that the money's in, casino, motel, whatever. Get in the helicopter with Tig and fly off.
Yep.
So you have all these scenes where Tig is walking with them or is talking to them through a fence. And as much as I love her, as much as I think she's so funny, she's so good, she gave it her all, it feels so weird.
That's it.
And I watched it with someone. I watched it with my partner without telling him about the recast because
Great.
I was about to explain why we were watching it. I said, we're watching it for the podcast. And then he goes, why? And I was like, because.
Just because, John.
Because, John. Hi, hon. But I did it without explaining to him why. And I asked him afterwards, he hated the film plot-wise. He found it really, really convoluted.
I believe that.
And I pushed him. I said, well, what about like individual characters? Like, what did you think about the German guy? What did you think about the guard? And then I pressed, what did you think about the helicopter pilot? And he's like, was she sick the whole time? And he immediately caught on that it felt like Tig's entire performance felt quarantined from the rest of the film. Because it was. And again, it's no commentary on her performance ability. An actor, I think, can only give so much depending on the environment they're thrust into. And I respect the idea to not reshoot the entire film or to bring in every actor because of COVID at the time. But I feel her character wasn't necessary.
Yep, you feel it.
I feel that there was really... And I don't really understand if D'Ella's character was originally a helicopter pilot or if this was a kind of a rewrite in order to get them to that it was the easiest way to shoehorn someone in. I don't think the film would have suffered that much if in the edit it had been rewritten to not have the helicopter, to not have this additional character needed.
Right. It would definitely shave off some runtime, which this movie would have
afford.
definitely benefited from.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I actually think that the role was bigger than I expected. Because that character is their getaway.
Yeah.
I mean, her character is, I mean, spoilers, the third to last one. She's in the final. She makes it to the final 3 of the gang.
Yep.
And you know, you can tell by watching this movie that something is up. Strangely enough, Tig Nataro is my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah. Which says something.
She does a great job.
Yes.
She's funny. As soon like the first scene you see her, I'm gonna totally paraphrase what she says, but she's like, $2 million just for me? Yeah, I'm in. You have no idea how much I want to join your team. I hate my life so much. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
She pulls it off fantastically. I have not seen anything with Chris D'Elia. I don't know what Chris D'Elia. I know what he sounds like. I've seen him in interviews, but I haven't seen him in anything. I think he's in You, and I think grossly enough he plays a pedophile in the show.
So he plays a pedophile in a different show. He's playing a character who's a child molester, and that was removed. And then there's multiple episodes of another show where he's removed. When I was doing this research for it, I would have to pull it up again, but there's like multiple times where he's played unscrupulous predators.
That's fucked.
Which is so scary to think about, because what does that mean? I mean, we could have a whole conversation. What does that mean in the casting room where you see somebody and you go, wow, they would play an excellent child predator?
Is it some sort of fucked up method acting thing?
Right. Well, and it's beyond that. I would even put forward the question of, if you're a casting director and you get such strong child predator vibes from someone, what the fuck is your responsibility? What the fuck is it? Because I'm not saying that you can't ever have a storyline in something that involves mention of a predator like that. I'm not saying rewrite every script on earth to not talk about child molestation. I'm saying if you're a casting director and someone keeps getting cast as a pedophile, what is your responsibility? What is the point at which you say, this is more than just bad vibes. This is more than just acting. I'm really picking up on something here that is weird.
Right.
And I know that's a little bit witch hunty. It's a little bit, what is it called? Minority Report? Is that the one where it's like they can predict crime before it happens?
Yep.
I know it's delving into that, but the fact that this kind of continues to happen. There's an actor from Glee who has a storyline in Glee about him producing child porn. And that actor, years later, is arrested for vehicular manslaughter. No, child porn. So it's just already, there's something to be said for, hey, y'all, trust your instincts. Yeah, someone gives you really, really strong child predator vibes, don't just cast him in your movie.
Well, also, I mean, if you're an actor in your right head, you catch on that you're being typecast as a pedophile. What a great career line.
Yeah.
A. B. You find yourself a different fucking agent.
Yeah.
You like.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird. So watching this movie, I was thinking about it from a really technical perspective. I was thinking about like how when they had to composite Tig in this movie, which I think it's first of all, I think it's amazing how you can put in the background. Like if a character is standing in a position, you're able to fill in the background.
Yeah.
That in itself is interesting. Maybe it's easier than I think it is, but already that's pretty impressive. But also you have to figure out lighting. You have to figure out camera movement. You have to figure out ambience, like dust in the tunnel. I'm thinking of that one sequence where the character is like, so let's face it, I'm more important than these guys.
Yes.
So if zombies are going to get someone, it's them, right? Not me.
Right.
Funny scene. But that's like the prime one where you look at, you're like, oh shit, like she's taking center stage in this scene.
Right.
This is all fake.
Right.
Dave Bautista is not looking at Tig Nataro.
No.
He's looking at someone who's taller than Tig Nataro, a hell of a lot taller than Tig Nataro.
Yeah.
And so you're with that scene, you see the dust. You're thinking about eye lines, and everything. And I was thinking it's kind of fortunate that the movie has the cinematography style it does.
It is.
The movie is shot by Zack Snyder. Ambitious. Shot with lenses personally bought by Zack Snyder on eBay. eBay. And the movie, throughout the whole entire movie, it has an extremely shallow depth of field. There are several shots where not a single thing is in focus. It's produced to good effect sometimes, but overall, criticisms aside, it's fortunate that they have such a shallow depth of field because you can easily control when they're out of focus and or not, and you can create separation. I'm sure it had a darker side too, but because of that separation, you can make it more believable that Tig Nataro is there.
Right.
And another thing I was thinking of, one more thing, every he is replaced with she, so they had to do a bunch of ADR work.
Right.
And one of the things that I was thinking of was, what if it was Dave Bautista that came out as a predator?
That's an excellent question, and it leads into the bigger conversation because I'll be frank, I don't enormously care about this film in particular, but it is interesting to consider what this brings to light is the idea of if digital recasting is this easy, not that it was easy for the laborers who worked on it, but if it is possible to be done, should we do it en masse and say, guess what, rapists?
Yeah.
You don't get to be in movies anymore.
Sure.
I really played immediately when I started reading this with the idea of recasting every Woody Allen film and removing Woody Allen from them.
That would be very interesting.
And it, more than actually doing it, the thought process of you've done something terrible. You don't get to be a part of these things anymore. This sort of post-mortem, not that Woody Allen's dead, but this post-production removal in the sense of morally we are against rape, we are against grooming, so we remove rapists and groomers. In my mind, I think that would be a good thing. I'm not saying we have to do it, but I'm certainly not against removing rapists from things. But then there's this secondary question of using digital recasting for more nefarious things. What comes to mind for me is the controversy back when the more recent Star Wars films were coming out, that in America, on the poster, John Boyega, who plays Finn, had a very prominent front place on the posters. And when those films went to China, he was not on some of the posters at all. Because in the Chinese market, according to a lot of these statistics and things, black actors don't do as well. Films with black leads don't do as well. So they hide him to the side on the poster or off the poster entirely to benefit making more money in a foreign market. Where I get scared as an artist and as a person who believes in authenticity and casting people as people is, at what point do large production companies decide, hey, in this market it would be a lot better if our lead was of this race and of this gender, and we just make the same film with multiple different leads or multiple different sidekicks and release it regionally based on what we think will sell.
Like every movie is the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Basically, yeah.
Where you have like
a film where the casting
actors
was
playing
done
the same character.
Right. A film where the casting was done out of necessity because Heath Ledger died.
Yeah.
Right? That's the one. Instead, say you take a film like Star Wars and Finn is kind of I can't get into the debate about Star Wars, but Finn's kind of basically the main character. Now think of a version where it's released in the Chinese market where we have a Chinese actor as that person, and it's released in a different market under a different thing. Or Rey is recast as a man because female-led films don't do well in this region.
It's so likely. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen in the next 10 years, if it's not already happening. Because now we are in a situation where production companies will do anything to get their money back.
Exactly.
So they will, in this case, it was their money. And they said that the cost of getting Tig Nataro in and putting her in, replacing this character, cost the exact same as a short film that they're going to release as part of this universe.
Yep.
It's your money. You're doing it. Go for it.
Yeah.
But it's like having a painting and changing the artist's name depending on where it's being shown.
Right.
Or
painting over the face again. That's how I imagine it, is the part that you're presenting to the audience has fundamentally changed. Yeah. And we can talk about the social implications of recasting based on race and gender by saying, well, this region doesn't like female-led films, but we made this film and we want it to sell well there, so we'll recast as a man. We can talk about the racist and sexist portions of it, but I think there's also something to just be talked about in the form of artistic integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Are you making this film because you have a vision, and is the gender and the race part of the vision, or are you making a film to make money, and you know that it'll make more money in different regions, in different times, based on certain key identity factors?
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say I know what I think is good and what I think is bad. I'm not saying making a film just for money is bad. I'd be pretty stupid to say that. But it scares me when I think about the future of diversity in film, where someone can be the lead in a film in one country and not in the exact same film in another.
Yeah. Which I guess is kind of why I'm generally against recasting, is because it's never made on a personal or humanitarian decision. It's always made based off a marketing decision. It's always because if Kevin Spacey is in All the Money in the World, he just came out with stuff. People still believe he's a good actor, so they'll see it, but we'll get more of a good rep if we, see Christopher Plummer. And by good rep, I mean we're going to get people to come in this movie unless people are going to be turned off by it.
Right. Certain people will boycott a film. I'm sure that there would have been people who said, I will not watch Army of the Dead because Chris D'Elia, who's an accused rapist, is in it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a social, in the sense of a PR choice. It's a financial choice. It's a reaction to the culture that's being developed, where you have a larger percentage of people who are saying, I disagree with what this person has done in their personal life. Therefore, I will not contribute to them getting paid more money.
Yeah. And right. I kind of want to dial back to your Woody Allen comment, because you're really changing that movie. Because so you want to digitally recast Woody Allen. Is that because when you buy it or when you rent it on Amazon, when you see the movie on Amazon, you're not giving money to Woody Allen? You don't want Woody Allen to make a profit because of you watching it.
So I'll take a step back from it and say I don't really give a shit whether they recast him or not. I just think it's a good example because he's in the film, and I think when people think about Hollywood controversy, he might be one of the bigger ones to point to.
Yes.
And big enough, in fact, that when I've taken Jewish film classes that are about specifically Jewish film, I have had to vote on whether or not we talk about Woody Allen. Because I have had professors who in certain years have chosen to show Annie Hall or any other Woody Allen film, and students have, and I'm not saying whether this is right or wrong, but have been so upset and so distressed by it that they've said, well, I'm going to drop the class if I have to participate in watching a Woody Allen film. It's a very, very touchy subject.
Right.
So I go to it because it's so prolific. I think there's a lot of ways to talk about it, right? So there's people who will boycott or refuse to watch certain films because certain people are in it on the basis that watching the film, either by purchasing a ticket or streaming it on a service, leads to revenue being generated that is sent to that actor, either in royalties after the fact, or it contributes to, well, he was in this film, it got good views, it got good ratings, let's hire him for the next thing. You're voting with your money. I think that part is true. I think people do vote with their money.
You don't want him to work anymore.
I would say that that's one way people go about it, right? Personally, in my personal opinion, I do not want Chris D'Elia to work again. I don't think people who abuse other people should be allowed to be in the film industry or any other industry. That's just my personal view on it. So the idea of digitally recasting someone like Woody Allen is tough because it guts the film.
It does.
It guts the film, but it allows you to enjoy a piece of art. I'm not saying that it's a piece of art on its own, but film as an art, it allows you to watch it without potentially contributing to the continued success of someone who I morally disagree with, right? I don't think people should marry their adopted daughters. I'll put that, as an adopted child myself, I'll put that one out there, right? But I enjoyed watching Annie Hall. I liked it.
It's a good movie.
It's good. It's a great movie. And if Woody Allen hadn't been a piece of shit, I would probably call it one of my favorite films. But I can't and I won't, because I don't want to contribute to that guy getting any more money, any more success, any more accolades, because I feel what he's done is so reprehensible, right? And the same, in a way, can be said with Diella, where I already wasn't really interested in watching this film until we started talking about digital recasting, and then I had to out of research for this film. But certainly, even if it was a film I wanted to see and it came out that this guy was a rapist, I would have avoided watching it. Now, we can have this other conversation about being a hypocrite where does it only matter when a star of a film is the douchebag versus someone on the production team, like a director, being the rapist? Or we can go further down the line and say someone who isn't on the main casting, like a grip or a PA who worked on the film, is also a rapist.
Sure.
At what point...
It's the stars.
Right. At what point is the water dirtied? At what point is the film sullied by contributing to someone who we morally object against?
That's right.
Is it only when they're on screen and they can be digitally recast? Or do we extend that same... If we want to be consistent in our logic, do we extend that same fervor to, oh, I just found out that the second AD of this film raped somebody?
Yeah, you could really use that. You can really fuck up a producer and say, yeah, production's canceled. And it's like, why?
Why?
It's like, well, our dolly grip is a rapist. It's like, what's that producer going to say? Oh, that's not as big.
Right.
Like,
It doesn't. That story doesn't matter
with
because
the current strikers,
the person.
That's going to make an impact.
Yep.
That's going to prove their point. I'm so glad that you came up with those ideas when watching this, because there were several areas that my brain went to immediately, which is Zack Snyder got the brunt of it the past year. Not only with this, but because of Justice League.
Yeah.
He made the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And he's doing this Army of the Dead thing, which I'm pretty sure this whole debacle is 75% of the marketing behind it. Like 75% of why people are watching it is because they want to see how well Tig Nataro's character fits in with the movie, which it does. It's a good job performance-wise. Technically, it's a bit strange. It's a bit uncanny, but it's kind of like, oh, was that the point all along? Was that kind of why you wanted to invest money in it?
Yeah.
If it was Dave Bautista who was coming out as a rapist, the movie probably wouldn't have seen the light of day.
Yeah, it's interesting to think
he's the lead.
that this was a side character. And it comes down. It also invokes the question of where is the morality? Is the morality of the recasting based in someone in the production or multiple someones in the production genuinely being against rapists being featured in the film? Or is it from a financial standpoint where they go, we know we'll lose money if he's in it, we'll spend this money. And you can go further with that to say not only will we replace him, we'll make a really big deal out of replacing him. Yeah. And that provides its own free marketing.
Not only that, we'll replace him with a liberal gay icon. They're kind of double compensating for that. Like, we're going to get rid of this rapist by putting someone super progressive, super
unproblematic in the eyes of the people who would find Christiella problematic.
Right.
We're going to really, really appeal to that, not denomination, but that demographic who would be making a statement about it. I'm happy either way to see a rapist, a sex offender, not be featured in a film. There's a big part of me, too, that wants to say, is it being done for the right reasons? Is it truly because there's a set of moral people who are saying, no rapists in our films, get them out of here, pay for it to be recast? Or is it saying, well, shit. Well, he's not that big in the film, so we can afford to do this, and we will, and we'll make a really big deal out of it in order to get some free advertising.
If it's Hollywood, it's probably not in good conscience.
It's not. And that's what distresses me. Is it's an interesting tool to think about. The idea that you can go back and remove somebody from a film. The idea that you can go back to a film that was done shooting, and I would say nearly seamlessly in a lot of these ways. It felt weird, but visually and technically, very well done.
Yeah.
How she was inserted. I thought it, great work on that. Big props to the real technical crew people who did it.
Yeah. They're Marcus Taormina was the visual effects lead, and oh man, Joao Sita was responsible for the replacement itself.
Hell yeah to those two people.
Yeah, Sita was the actual person in charge of making that replacement happen. First name is spelled Joaoa, and my phonetics cannot do that name justice.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry.
Well, and the biggest of props to them and to everybody who worked on that reshooting thing, the portion of the films that were reshot and digitally recast. I just hope they use their powers for good, I guess, is the way that I'm phrasing it, because it is a powerful... It reminds me of the photograph I think we were all shown in world history where you have a picture of Stalin with somebody, and it's one of the earliest examples of Photoshop where after that guy falls out of favor with the Communist Party, he's removed from the photos, right? Don't know what the hell that guy did. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he pissed off Stalin, but they were able to get rid of him. It's a powerful tool to remove somebody's image from something, be it a photo or film.
Right.
And in this case, in such a large-scale way that person no longer exists in the film.
That was a governmental decision.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
and these, it's in response to the people. I think Army of the Dead and the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut wouldn't exist if it wasn't for fucking Twitter.
Right.
So with the people having so much say in what they see, and I've thought about this for a long time, and it probably deserves its whole episode. But the bottom line is, if the people have a say in what they see in their movies, they're going to deprive themselves of the ability to be challenged or surprised.
Right.
That's why we don't have Kubrick's anymore. Kubrick was huge at the time.
Yep.
And no one knew what his shit was about. But he kept getting all this money. He kept making all these movies that are highly influential today. I hope I don't come across as condoning Delia's actions in any way. But it is, a thing where, people can have say in what they see, and sometimes that can be good and sometimes that can be bad.
Right.
This one, I see this and I'm like, you're showing off a little bit.
Yeah.
You're kind of showing off your visual effects, which, it's impressive. It's great. And Tig Nataro is my favorite part of Army of the Dead.
Right.
But,
It is so hard because it's impressive what was done, and I can't really argue with why it was done, because I am in favor of Diella being removed from the film and not profiting off of it.
Yes.
Or profiting off of anything ever again, frankly.
Did he... Can finish your point.
I don't know if he got paid for the film, if that's what you're asking. I have
do not
no
know
idea.
either. I wrote that down. I don't know if he did, but my guess is yes. I'm not sure he had his salary revoked from the movie.
I mean, if the payment was based on the completion of filming or paid beforehand, it's done. You can't contractually. I'm sure you can't say, "Oopsies, found out you're an asshole. Give us our money back."
Right.
And I don't know if there's a pay structure behind the scenes at Netflix where if this film does so well, here's how much additional you'll get. That was the big thing with Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit against Disney with Black Widow, is she was promised bonuses depending on how well it did in theaters. And when it was released synchronously with Disney Plus, that theoretically plummeted attendance in theaters because it was available at home, which totally cut the knees off of any bonuses that she would have gotten if it had not been released synchronously, right? So there's something contractually where she went, hey, you owed me more, give it to me. I don't know if that existed behind the scenes for Netflix. I don't know if that existed for Diella, but, certainly there's no money going to him at this point because he's not in the film.
He's not making any royalties off Army of the
Right.
Dead.
If there's royalties, if there's anything
Might not be
afterwards,
making any royalties on anything.
Right. It doesn't exist for him anymore. So I'm all in favor of that, right? But it's also like, well, it is convenient in its own way for the forces that be to kind of show off their morality, whether it really is their morality, and their technology. It is something where I want to feel good about this and feel like it was a meaningful thing to happen in the industry. Yes, good. We're getting rid of predators. Get them out of here. Snip, snip, out of the film. But it's impossible for me to believe that it was actually done singularly out of good faith towards making the industry a better place without any financial interest involved. I can't be pushed to believe it.
If I made a movie and it turns out that one of my actors was a rapist, I would be devastated.
Right.
And I think that was what Zack Snyder was thinking, because one of the reasons why I do support this movie is because it is done with so many more practical effects.
Yeah.
And so much less grandeur than other Zack Snyder movies. Zack Snyder was the camera operator for this. So this was a very personal project for him. This was a very hands-on, involved project for him. I feel comfortable making the analogy where it's like, well, if I made something and I had a rapist be on my set, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do either.
Right.
At first I would consider shutting down the whole thing, and then I would probably be told by someone, well, how can you salvage it? And I'm like, I don't know, cancel the whole thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Which is so different when the choice is yours truly as an individual because you're the only financier, you're the only producer in the idea that this is like a young person / student film versus, hey, motherfucker, you've got backers.
Right.
You've got production houses. You've got loans. And I certainly don't blame anybody for salvaging the film. I'm not going to come at this from the standpoint of the whole thing should have been thrown away. I don't believe in that. And they were able to come out with a good enough film. I'm not crazy about it, but at a technical level, at all these other things,
Serviceable
it's good.
film.
Right. It just makes you question, as in my stance, a filmmaker who wants to be as ethical as possible, the role that this tool of digital recasting could play in my personal cinema future, what I would use it for, and also the future of the industry at large. And again, that fear of regionalism, that fear of using it to remove minorities, using it to remove anyone who, steps out of line with a company. I mean, this is a whole episode on its own that we'll do at some point, but, the way it could be used to blacklist somebody from the industry if they step out of line with, say, the Disney Corporation. Again, it comes back to that Stalin photo analogy of which high enough level person do you have to piss off to be retroactively wiped from previous works? That, to me, is kind of scary. It is scary to think about. I hope, beyond all hope, that this is something that we can use for good, but I feel too much that it's going to go the same route as the, whatever it's called, the facial thing with the deep fakes.
Yeah, right.
Which, again, powerful tool, credible tool, artistic tool, not what it's used for.
Yeah.
Definitely used for more celebrity lookalike pornography than anything else.
Well, we had recently, it's kind of slowed down now, but Youngface.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy, Kurt Russell in Guardians 2.
The entirety of The Irishman.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, deep fakes produce such a more believable image. I'm surprised that Hollywood, I mean, it's just like Hollywood to not swallow their pride, but to, use deep fakes and actually use that, because those are magical.
Yeah.
Those are groundbreaking.
Right.
And people are doing them in their grandma's basement.
Right.
It's super cool.
It's amazing, and I can understand why it wasn't used here, because I'm sure that if they still use Diela's body, and I keep rerouting this back to financial, but I assume that he would still have to be credited then, the same way that you would credit someone who does a mocap suit.
Sure, because they influenced the camera.
Right?
They influence the composition.
Well, they're in front of the camera.
Yeah,
that's my body over there.
People are acting off them, yeah.
So contractually, I can see why it wasn't used here. But again, it's AI, all of these things where you're able to do incredible things. You just want them to be used for good.
Yeah.
For artistic tools. And instead they're used, to me, scarily, they're being used to harm people or remove credit where credit's due. And in this case, again, happy with the reasoning, glad to see the fucker go. Can't imagine that that's the only way it's going to be used in the future.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's scary. You bring up some points that blew my mind.
And to bring up one more.
Yes.
Let's
please.
get into one other Netflix controversy alongside this film. This film features a lot of CGI, including a zombie tiger. Do you know where the mocap for the zombie tiger was done?
With a human.
No. The tiger that was used to influence the movement is a tiger from Big Cat Rescue. Do you know Big Cat Rescue?
I do not. What's Big Cat Rescue?
It's Carol Baskin's tiger farm from Tiger King.
For Christ's sake.
They partnered with Big Cat Rescue and Carol Baskin herself, and used one of her tigers. It's named in the Wikipedia article. I'm sure I could find it, to get the mocap, to get the motion for the CGI tiger.
Sure.
It's just so perfect to just add one more, again, in my personal opinion, terrible person into the mix of this Netflix-backed film.
I haven't seen
From
Tiger
Tiger Film, which was a Netflix-released documentary.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen Tiger King. I actively refused to see Tiger King because I'm a natural rebel. Like, whatever people are like, you should, like, wow, BuzzFeed is talking about all this. It's so cool. I'm going to immediately say, fuck that. I'm not going to watch it. I know I didn't watch Tiger King.
Yeah.
And, like, they're coming out with Tiger King 2, which is
What?
going to be the most TikTok Zoomer bullshit ever.
I watch, again, just like I said in Don't Fuck With Cats, I watched the whole thing in one sitting. I have to be a second viewing person because I get so wrapped up in things so quick.
Sure.
I
That's how it should be.
adored Tiger King the first 24 hours that I had watched it because it was insane. That's another documentary that we could do such a deep dive into, and again, about the ethics of being a documentarian and, hey, if you see children or animals or people being abused, what's the ethics of just standing there and filming? That's its whole own thing, but I just find it so funny that what I thought was the most convoluted part of this film was that damn tiger.
I didn't look that much into that.
For it to be from this already so controversial place, it's perfect. It's the cherry on top of this whole crazy, crazy film.
It's like you can't. It's like everywhere you step, there's a landmine.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you can't really make a creative decision or hire someone that's not a few degrees off something bad.
Right.
So the moral of the story is engage in independent filmmaking.
Stop making films.
Yep.
There's two ways you could go.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good. And so many of these questions will come up time and time again because it is the nature of the industry is where do you draw the lines ethically? Because filmmaking is very rarely a one-person endeavor. It would be so much easier to cast off films as problematic or I'm not going to watch it because of so-and-so person if films only took one or two people to make. But the truth is, every film, I made a 7-minute short that Graham was a part of that I think had a 22-person crew. Behind the scenes, between casting, between costumes, audio, everything, it's 22 people for a no-budget short film. Every film you've ever seen in a theater has literally thousands of people working on it, even if they don't know it. The prop makers, the people who supply the prop makers, it is a spider web of people. And I still think there's the question of, again, would you, if you're an animal rights activist and you feel that Big Cat Rescue is bad, do you still watch this film knowing that some money went to Big Cat Rescue to use their tiger? That's not for me to answer. But it is, again, something to be thought about in the realm of films when we start to realize how involved these things are, how many people are involved in every shot of every film you've ever seen. Yeah.
So the movement was referenced. An artist was engaged with Big Cat Rescue and just observed the movements. Did they actually record?
I think that's how I understood it, is they didn't put a mocap suit on a tiger with all the little ping pong balls on it.
No.
But
Thank God.
to 3D render the walking movements of the tiger to get a natural feel for it. It's specifically referencing that cat and that cat's movement, which is housed at Big Cat Rescue in Florida. Yeah, that's
definitely the number one reason why I watched this movie. If this was not an issue, I'm not sure I would have watched this movie.
No.
It's a 2.5-hour zombie flick. A lot of people love it, and I think that love is totally warranted.
Yeah.
The cinematography is interesting.
Oh,
Dave Bautista is as likable as always.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Bautista is a fantastic actor, and he does a great job with this.
I genuinely loved the safecracker character, Dita. I genuinely enjoyed every moment he was on screen.
Yeah.
I won't lie about that.
He was a little annoying for me at some points, but but overall, I loved his love affair with safes.
Yeah, his love affair with safes and his love affair with the other guy whose name I can't think of.
Oh yeah, what's his face?
Oh gosh,
the lady, the guy who was helping that lady in the pool in the opening.
Yep, that's all the thoughts I have on it. Again, I cannot wait to see what the responses to this are, and somewhat anxiously, I can't wait to see how this technology and the use of it is going to change the landscape that we're working in, for better, for worse, for ever, basically.
Yeah. Be cognizant and confident.
And don't be a rapist.
That, yes.
Should we have given that advice at the top?
I can agree
that
with
feels
that.
like...
I agree with that. That's a good argument.
If you like what you heard today, follow us on Facebook at Filmosophy Pod. We're also on Twitter at Filmosophy Pod. And you can find us any place quality podcasts are sold and listened to. At this point, hopefully, we're on a couple different platforms. If you're listening to us on a platform that has reviews, go ahead and give us a review. Hopefully it's 5 stars. We love to see it. We want other people to find it. And speaking of finding things, Graham, where can people find your stuff?
People can find my stuff at www.marvelouspancake.com. That website has a bunch of little cartoons that I make. And you can also find me at Metro Market trying to find where the Kind bars are because I can never find them. They always move. They're never in the same spot. And I'm always confused, so I have to ask someone.
Yeah.
And I think I probably asked the same person.
Yeah. That's an interesting time loop to get stuck in. The man is always where he should be. The Kind bars never are. That's our next film. There we go. Speaking of films, you can find all my work on Vimeo at Anastasia Esther. And basically, you can find me anywhere on the internet under the name Anastasia Esther. My Twitter is at Anya somehow, because Anya Esther was already taken. Who did this? Is it my twin from another parallel universe?
That's bullshit.
I hope not. There can be only 2. That has been Filmosophy for the week. We hope to hear from you guys next week. Bye!
Hug your mom.
Hug
your parents.
That's a good one.